The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. There's two warring parties of me at the moment, ironically, based on this movie. It's the one that's really, really inquisitive and wants to know how they fucking did everything without CG. Like maybe there's a little bit, to kind of match things and stuff, but like a lot of the techniques are apparently old-fashioned. We'll get to the fucking Cyclops of it all and the giant men. And then the other part of me is like the part that just doesn't want to know. That's just like, I just want to be able to live in this and let it be what it is without any answers. And I'm struggling because all these videos keep coming up now on Instagram, like stuff that are like, fucking Christopher Nolan used an old-fashioned technique to do this shits, and hey, no CG, and they managed this shits, and this is the set for this shits, and all these different scenes that I'm like, I would fucking love to know what's going on in there, and I can't bring myself to look into it yet,
I kind of feel the same way.
Did you... Hey, everyone. Hey, hi there. Oh, we didn't see you. We just thought we were talking about the Odyssey ourselves. It's a Film Addicts podcast. Welcome back, the Odyssey couple. We're just doing a little bonus episode before we get to episode 100 because the Odyssey is such a remarkable piece of filmmaking, however you feel about it, whether you like the film or not. You can't say it's badly made. This motherfucker is probably the greatest living filmmaker we have, greatest male living filmmaker at least. Just an incredible piece of cinema. And he really is, it's the most Nolan has ever Nolaned, which I really appreciate. You kind of feel that way too, that you kind of, there's so much for people like us who are buffs, you just want to dive in, but it's hard,
Yeah. I saw the reel about them talking about how they shot the Lystrogonians, which are the giant men in the forest.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I kind of knew that that's kind of what they were doing, but it didn't really matter because it was magic in the moment.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know.
Is it really big people and little people?
Well, it's forced perspective, but yes, it is. Because the giant people are like 7 feet men. And the Odysseus crew is like at the most are like 5 feet. So there is the height gap, but there's also filmmaking, magic happening in camera.
Yeah, like long lenses and split diopter focus and sticking them in a scene where all the trees are incredibly tall regardless of who you are, so that the guys who are giants still look like giants. They're not, you know what I mean? Like if they were, if the trees were different, you probably would be like, well, they just look like normal people. Technique wise, it's just, he is at the height of his powers, shooting entirely in IMAX. I saw it in 70mm at the Astor. I like the format of IMAX, the like 144 or something, which is much closer to a square than your sort of wider format. And you do get that beautiful, it's 16K or something resolution. It's, the highest resolution that you can have. And it really is stunning. But if you don't, and the IMAX sequence, I don't know how they are in your country or anyone else's country where you're listening, overseas and stuff. But over here, every IMAX session is booked out for 2 months. You can't get in, which is excellent. The movie's going to crack $1 billion like easily, but you can't, even if you can get in, you need perfect seats to really appreciate IMAX. The 3 or 4 times I've been to IMAX, I was like looking up at a screen, and I don't jive with that. It fucks the perspective. It ratchets your head around. But at the Astor, 70mm print is stunning, and they have a proper print there as well. Like they have a projector that's a film projector, and you could see the cigarette burns when they needed to change the reel, and you'd hear the clunking upstairs. It was great. But yeah, like even in that format, like I know you lose top and bottom, it was still And I know people are sort of saying that it's a bit dark and stuff, but it's like shooting a lot of natural light and there's like firelight being lit. Like it should look like that. It's also the closest I think he's ever gotten to a horror movie, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah, that's like, this is the closest he's ever gotten to it. Also, on it being dark, this is an adaptation. And I feel like Nolan does this a lot, where he takes a story in his head and then strips it down to its absolute bone, and that's what the film is. Because I'm of two minds in this film, where I genuinely wanted it to be an epic, a story with like orchestral horns and gigantic, fantastical creatures full of color and mystery and despair, and showing and representing all the things that Odysseus is going through. But this isn't that. However, I don't hate it for it. It's an adaptation in the most Nolan way possible.
Right. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you this. I think this is really important. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sold completely in the first little bit. For starters, within the first 5 minutes, John Leguizamo's character's pitching puppies off of a fucking cliff. Yeah, and I was like, I get it, but that hurts my heart so bad. But his Nolan's sort of trademark shifting of timelines and going back and forth. And when you read his scripts, and I've read a few of them because he's an incredible, people don't give him enough credit for being a really good screenwriter because he is such an amazing director. But the scripts that he's written himself are really, really beautifully written and very succinct. But he has a particular technique where he writes insert cut.
Yep.
So it's in capitals. It says insert cut, and he will say pull from scene 16 or whatever, or image of, and it's like the moment in The Dark Knight where Harvey wakes up, looks over to the bedside table in the hospital bed where he's at, he's got the burned face, and he sees the coin that Batman has left there that he found in the rubble. And there's a quick flash cut to an image of Rachel holding that coin. And it's kind of like the person's internal perspective, and then it cuts back quickly. And they're silent usually as well. He's done it all through his career and done these sort of cutbacks to moments where it kind of it visually evokes an emotion for a character without them needing dialogue. And I love it. I use it all the time now myself, just by accident. I do it because I think it's such a great technique to show don't tell, which is a great filmmaking sort of credo to have. So I love all that particular, but at the beginning it was kind of jarring because so much is happening. You're getting introduced to so many people, and I was still with the story. But as soon as they got to the fucking cave and the Cyclops, when that sequence ended, after it finally, we're going to spoil it, by the way. Don't listen to this if you haven't seen the film.
It's also a 3,000-year-old poem, so it's fine.
If you're not caught up, it's your own fault. They get on the ship finally, and Odysseus is, he's fucking thumbs his nose at the gods by shooting it with an arrow. It's like, well, that's fucking Poseidon's son, you dickhead. That thing. When you see the giant give up, the Cyclops give up and sort of fall back into the waves, I felt my body untense, and my abs were sore the following day from tensing so hard. So anyway, the point is I'm trying to make is that I was in it, and I loved it. I didn't feel the time. I was really, really, it's such a great Nolan film. After it finished, as is typical at the Astor, especially when they're doing a limited screening like this, they were doing like 10 sessions of this 70mm special edition print thing, whatever. Everyone claps. That's what you do at the Astor. And it is in respect for because it's really fucking hard to make a bad movie. It's almost impossible to make a good movie. And he made a really good movie. So that's just respect for the filmmakers and everybody in that cast list. That's why everybody sits and waits until the credits are over. It's just a respect thing. We all clapped, and some fucking woman screamed out, "Oh, come on, guys. Read the book." And I was like, all right, well, if you have a problem, just go home and write it all up and put it on the internet like an asshole, okay? You don't need to fucking ruin everybody's experience in here because you had a problem with it because you're, dedicated to the text, again, which is 3,000 years old, It doesn't need to be, it's not for you then. Like, take that original and that's for you. And this is for someone else, like me who hasn't read, a 16,000 line poem that was written a little bit before I was born. I don't begrudge people their responses to something or their feelings about something. Like, if you don't like it, that's fine, but don't stand up in the middle and grandstand and be like, oh, read the book, everyone. Fucking hell. Like, you don't need to do that. If you want to stand up and cheer and shout and say how great it was, that's different. Like, if you want to put positivity out there, that's awesome. But if you just want to be negative and make a fucking big statement that you've read the book and how fucking literary you are, grow up. Like, it's really, really pathetic. Having said that, though, what I wanted to ask you, that big long run of shit, to get to the point of me asking you, you've read the Odyssey, have you not?
Yes. As of last night, I've completed it.
Amazing. How are your feelings as it, because you just said it's the most, and that's adaptation in the most Nolan way. Why?
I first came across the Odyssey while listening to Epic the Musical in late 2024. So I knew the story by listening to the entire musical, and then I started to read the Odyssey in preparation for the film, but I couldn't. I stopped reading it because I didn't have a lot of time, and then I started reading it again a week before I was going to go and watch the film, and I got to a certain point, and I watched the film and then continued after. So, I will say this, I understand the sentiment of that woman, because there are things that Nolan has cut, and there are things that Nolan expects you to know about this world before you even go and watch this. Like, Zeus's Law.
They make that pretty clear, though.
They do. But like, sometimes, people who are very second screen people will probably not get that.
Well, fuck them then.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Especially at the cinema. Shit.
Oh, man. There were two people using their phones when I fucking went. Oh, I was so pissed.
It's just so disrespectful to forget the filmmakers who worked hard on this shit. The people around you.
I also go to that exact theater for this same reason, that I don't have to deal with people like that. But yeah, it's it's what it is. However, I do understand the sentiment of that woman, because they cut two of my favorite parts of the story. And while I understand, and there's a video of Nolan explaining one of them, which I completely disagree with, because I don't see it as what he sees like that part of it as. The thing is, even while cutting like what some might think are the most pivotal parts of that story, Nolan still gets across the idea and the actual moral of it, and then he takes a huge jump and ends it in the most completely opposite way that the actual story does, and it then becomes it becomes in conversation with his own work, which is Oppenheimer. It becomes in conversation with the audience about the legitimacy and not the legitimacy. Sorry, that's the wrong word. It becomes in conversation with the audience about the power and essence of what art is. Because it ends with one of the most incredibly written dialogues I've ever come across. And so,
sorry, in the poem or the film?
No, in the film. So I'm going to spoil two things that I missed, and I'm going to tell you why I feel like those were the most important parts of that story. In the poem, the entire Cyclops sequence doesn't happen the way that it does in the film. In the film, also I'm going to say this. I love every monster design, but I especially love Cyclops because it's the first one you get in the poem. It's the one I think you spend the most time with. And also in the poem, he's called a monster, but for no actual reason except that he's a Cyclops. And in the film, Nolan makes him a deformed giant, which is why he's a monster, and I love that. So in the actual story, what happens is they go there, they come to this island, and then they kill his sheep. But they kill the sheep without knowing that it was a Cyclops sheep. And
you got to be careful out there, folks. If you're just going around killing sheep, like you don't know if it's a Cyclops that owns them sheeps. Why is the Cyclops not eat the sheep?
Because he makes cheese out of their milk, and he's a farmer, I guess. He is a farmer,
and according to Matt Damon, it's good.
It is good. I was so surprised that was like taken in the film and the rest of it wasn't, because I was like, that's such a weird detail to pull. Like, nobody needed that. But
no, I like it. I think it gives it the monster has agency. Then it's like, okay, well, they're just a person who farms cheese, and that's the Cyclops has an internal life as opposed to just being a monster like it would be if it was Clash of the Titans or Jason the Argonauts.
When they meet the Cyclops, after realizing that they've killed his sheep, starts eating them, starts eating some of them. But then Odysseus offers him wine, which is laced with lotus. So, how lotus will have a bigger plot in the film, which is I guess it's a fruit, or just like the lotus petals. It's
a flower, isn't it? Like the Lotus Eaters story. Yeah.
They have this ability to make people forget things about themselves and just be in ecstasy for forever. So the more you ingest it, the more you forget about yourself, which is how Calypso is able to keep him on the island for 7 years.
I think it's a allegorical of alcohol, is it not?
It is very allegorical. So he laced the wine with the lotus, but while the lotus works on the Cyclops' body, they've actually conversed, and the Cyclops is fucking pissed. He's not gonna let them live, because they took his sheep, and it's probably the only thing he has because he's abandoned. What they don't know is that this cave is very, very deep and has other Cyclops in it. It's a whole community. And
a Cyclops community.
Yep.
Sequel.
Yeah, because it's got Jean Grey and Nathan and.
That's good. Well done. How do you figure an X-Men joke? Well done.
But while they're conversing, the Cyclops asks, they both ask each other's names. So the Cyclops says, "I'm Polyphemus," and Odysseus says, "I'm nobody." And when they blind him while he's asleep, he wakes up and screams, "Nobody hurt me." And all the Cyclops come in and say, "Well, what's happened? What's happened?" And he said, "Nobody hurt me." And they say, "Shut the fuck up. That's not a thing." Right? And
I'm going to go ahead and assume that in the original text, it doesn't say, "Shut the fuck up." All the Cyclopses say to, what's his name?
Polyphemus,
which means he has many themes, I guess. Shut the fuck up, Polyphemus. We were written 3,000 years ago. There's a few fucks in this movie, and I'm like, that's not true. That wouldn't happen.
There were more fucks in this film than actual fucking, which I found very, very interesting.
Is there some fucking in the poem?
He's there with Calypso for 7 years, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if it's Charlize Theron, I mean, I wouldn't have to be there fucking 45 minutes if she offered it up. I'm like, I'm sorry, what's that? I will forget my entire family, of course. You were great in that climbing movie.
That happens. But this is what Nolan describes. He describes this as a joke. But that's not the end of it. Because after Polyphemus has been blinded, they can actually leave, because they don't have to sneak out the way that they do in the film, which I found was very cool that they did that. But it was a Nolan addition. In the film, he shoots him again in the eye with an arrow, which prompts Polyphemus to chase them. back to the ocean. In the story when they're leaving, because Odysseus is so proud of his trick, he's been at the Trojan War because of his trickery and his smartness. The whole Trojan horse was his idea, and so he's so proud of his, that we got out of this without losing a lot of men. He turns to him and says, "I'm the reigning king of Ithaca. My name is Odysseus." And Polyphemus says, "Do you not know who I am? I am the son of Poseidon." And since then, the entire story is the consequence of Odysseus's pride, because Poseidon is absolutely extremely pissed that he hurt his son. And that is the crux of all of his problems, is his pride. And he's only dealing with that because he's gone through so much in the 10-year war that he thinks that his actions will have no actual consequences. Because they sacked Troy, they got Helen, and they came back. And so this is their way back, and this is the hardest thing they will ever do, is going back to Ithaca. So that is, and I think canonically it's 10 years in the war and then 10 years coming back.
Well, it's, 10 years on the beach trying to figure out how to get in there and then finally figuring out the horse. Yeah, I understand not having the Cyclops speak as much as it does. Like, I know it does in the film and it talks, but to have it explain all that stuff, that's when it becomes like
exposition,
high fantasy, high science fiction. Like, he's playing this shit for real, and I think that his shipmates saying that, being like, "Did you not know who that was? That's Poseidon's son." And it's still very much, but the whole movie is about Odysseus's pride and how he comes back and the conversation he's having when he's in the guise of the beggar with his wife. That's all that's about. The whole thing is about that. And I don't think that's lost. And I do think that gets you post the sequence with the Cyclops. That is the beginning of your second act where they that was Poseidon's son, and everything goes to shit after that. You're absolutely right. So I did feel that as a catalyst moment. I don't think you lost anything not having the actual Cyclops themselves explain that,
Yeah. Like, I'm not criticizing that they didn't do it. I'm just saying why I feel like that was an important part of the story, because Nolan sees the nobody thing as a joke and I don't. And the second thing is at the very end, when he goes back to Ithaca and he's strung his bow and he's shot through the 12 axes, right? And he's killed all the suitors. In the film, Penelope believes him as soon as you hear the bowstring, which is one of my favorite parts of this film, is that you hear the fucking string.
And it's part of the score. Like, it's in the score. Like, it's the music is happening and then you hear that and it's fucking so great.
But in the actual story, even after he's killed all the suitors, she doesn't believe this man, because he claims to be Odysseus, but he's a beggar who has Athena on his side, And so she says that if you can take my bed from my chamber into where the suitors were, or I don't. She basically says, if you can pick up my bed and move it, I will believe that you are Odysseus. And he says, "Oh, my dear wife, how can I do that? How can you ask me to do that?" Because before going to war, before they were even married, he carved that bed from a tree that was grown inside their room. So to move that bed would be to destroy the entire carving and the tree.
Yeah, right. Oh, that was the test.
And that was the test. And in that moment, she realizes that is Odysseus. That is the man that she missed for 20 years. Has come back now, right? And I love that, because it's not the test of his wit or his strength. It's a test of who he is as a person who went to war, and not what war made him.
She could have just been like, "Show me the dong, show me your balls and cock," and I'll be, "Yep, that's definitely him." Hey, I remember it. I remember that you can't mistake a penis.
Some people just start off small and then grow bigger. Sometimes things change.
Horrible.
Yeah. Listen, man, 27 minutes in, that was hard.
We had to get there. Yeah, we had to get there, of course.
But yeah, those are two favorite moments of the entire poem. I'm not saying that they're not choosing not to adapt it was bad, because obviously he's telling the same story in a completely different way, and I love this film for it, and I love that it's not a one-to-one adaptation in that way, but you still get like more depth in when you go back and read it, and there's still more depth in the film. Story-wise,
it's it's right where you want to be in terms of a proper hero's adventure, in the traditional sense. And I did jive with that. I think I'll probably see it again and be more into it, but I just couldn't stop marveling at the Hoyt van Hoytema is just probably one of the top 3 or 4 best cinematographers working today, maybe even who's ever lived. Like, he just has a beautiful understanding of light and simplicity as well. Just and the dude, he puts Nolan's always done this. He's always had like a very kind of not handheld, not kind of scattered Paul Greengrass style, but a very simple floating style of camera. She does some dolly shots and some longer setups, and there's probably some steady cam stuff here and that. But I mean, like in the past, you can't put a fucking IMAX camera on a steady cam; it's too heavy. But as far as I understand, anyway, maybe they've got new ones. But Hoyt van Hoytema just sticks it on his shoulder with a fucking a rig, like a shoulder rig, and just gets stuff. And I love that the floating nature of it and the intense close-ups, the really, really shallow depth as well. He's using, really high stop with a really short lens, and he gets really close. And I just, that's where I was right in it. When you're seeing those over-the-shoulder shots of Damon like gorging himself on the lotuses, and then you see the reverse of sorry, who's Charlie's there again?
Calypso.
And I know that Calypso like intentionally fucks with him. It's like that changed as well, that she wants him to remember to send him back, but in the poem she doesn't. You mentioned that, but the look on her face, and you can't see that in if you were to do that as a 2-shot, like you need that close stuff. The stuff of Tom Holland and Arpats, who is the fucking Robert Pattinson is the MVP of this film. He is so slimy and so fantastically horrible. It's just, he's great. When you see their stuff together as well, and the stuff with Bernthal, and it's just like really, and Anne Hathaway at her loom, and the choices is like of how to stage this in such an untraditional fashion for what would be typically a very traditional type of movie. Like, you put a camera on your shoulder for Dunkirk, no one gives a shit, because it's a war picture, right? It's supposed to be verisimilitude, the appearance of reality. But if you do it for a fucking, a 3,000-year-old tone poem, about gods and monsters and all that kind of stuff, you'd expect it to be almost like, Spielbergian in its classical style, in its use of just the way that it tells things narratively. But he just sticks to his style. It's why he's got his own font. Like, this dude is he only makes Christopher Nolan pictures, and I love that. Ever since, like, pretty much, I reckon after he made Batman Begins, it was like the first film after Batman Begins was The Prestige, and I was like, since The Prestige, he's just doing his own shit. He got a blank check to do whatever he wanted. And even though he did 2 more Batman films, every film he's done has been either an adaptation of something that's actually happened or an original piece of work. Nobody else is doing that. No one. He hasn't cared. Like, he could have walked into Marvel and been like, I want to direct everything. For the rest of time. He put his huge filmmaking dick on the table and gone, I'm doing an X-Men movie where Cyclops, Jean and Wolverine are a throuple, and there's going to be a fuck scene in it, and they're going to do anal and everything. And they would be like, Christopher Nolan, yes, you can do whatever. Are you going to shoot it in IMAX? Because I'd like to see that, But he didn't. He's so committed to his stories. What? Don't lie. It's true.
No, I have something in my mind that came up when you said they're going to be a throuple and they're going to have a sex scene.
It's going to happen. It should happen.
It's just
Why not?
It's an IMAX image of just the Wolverine claws covered in cum. Just. Why are we here? This is about.
They're into claw play. They're into claw play, Addy. Really? That's dangerous, man.
Have you seen the new episode of X-Men '97?
No, I haven't. No, shush.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're thinking like when he comes, he pops claws, like oh, or when fucking when Cyclops does it, he also optically blasts.
I mean,
and then blows a wall out. Oh God. Okay. How did we get here? It's supposed to be classy. This is a classy Hollywood picture, and we're talking the filth.
Oh boy.
But it's true though. Like he is doing his own shit, and I think his Oscar speech was so genuine. You know, he's such a kind of a British, well done kind of man, but he makes films that are really like guttural and have you feeling things you never felt before. And he just gets up there and says, you know, the history of cinema is vast and wide, and the fact that you think I'm an important part of that means the world. And he's choking tears, like, yeah, he just loves the craft of filmmaking. That's why he fucking punches one out every 2 years. He's like, okay, next, I got another one. You know, like you don't win for Oppenheimer telling, you know, one of the most brutal stories of all time in your style and have people turn up and win an Oscar for it, win all the Oscars for it. And then most people would put their feet up, but he's like, no, I'm going to do the Odyssey.
Yeah.
And like, I love his dedication to the craft. And I can't wait to see the kind of films that he gets into doing. You know, I love all of his movies. There's seldom a bad one in there. And, you know, even Tenet, I know people have a problem with Tenet, but it just came at a bad time, everybody. I don't think you're all ready for Tenet, but it's going to get a review. The only problem with Tenet is that David Washington isn't as charismatic as he needs to be that lead.
I have a different opinion about that, but that's a conversation for another time. I do want to talk to you about how did you feel the transformation that Odysseus' crew goes to because of Cersei.
So cool. I will say though, like in when we'll go back to the Cyclops sequence for just a second. When that sequence happened and he started eating them, and like the torso of a person fell from his mouth and landed on the floor. And then the next thing, and he's like, we're going to have to try and get out. And he's like, but he ate 2 of us last night. I can feel it now. My stomach sank, and the fear of that creature. I've never feared being eaten. And Christopher Nolan, even when I watch Silence of the Lambs, you know, it's a different thing. That's being attacked by a serial killer, you know. But being eaten alive by a fucking giant monster with a vagina eye, like, no. That's a fear I've never ever had before, and it was really really all-consuming and kind of like unsettled me for the rest of the film. Why I said before, you know, he's going to have to make a horror movie at some point. He's got the chops for it because he just lets things happen. He just lets things play out. It's like, oh shit, he's just going to eat these people. The next scene, the Cersei scene with the fantastic Samantha Morton, like just fucking knocking it out of the park, did the same thing where she's pulling their faces and turning them into pigs. And it's obviously like practical, you know, staged makeup and then props and then an actual pig. That was, and that's not what I was thinking while it was happening, but I was like, oh God, fucking hands down throats and all that shit. Amazing. So well realized in terms of what they had to do. Like, we're going to turn these people into pigs, and it starts with behavior. And then it starts with a change of like camera sort of attitude and its aggressiveness, and, you know, looking at the food and seeing the food, and then, you know, that kind of thing. Just, and her motivations for it as well. Men are pigs, you know, men are beasts. It's, yeah, I loved it. Why do you ask?
Well, because that was my favorite part of the film. And it ends with the, you know, like obviously you see the armors on the island, and you see different exotic animals that are not supposed to be there. It's very much intentional what Nolan's hinting at, but it's the line of back to your disguises when she turns them back into men, and it's like Like it's so hard to miss, you know. Like if you miss that, you're like I don't know why you're watching this.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's such a well constructed sequence. I love the vignette style of it as well, of like going from sort of, you know, more propulsive and destructive adventure to adventure until the point where his fucking crew is like, nah, wait here with the fucking boat. We're gonna go and search for food. And then I love I don't know if this is in the original, the hunting of something, and how he gives it a chance by thwacking his bow. I love that. It's like it's only honourable, you know, and he keeps that honour despite the fact that he does spiral into, you know, pride and hate. The final, Matt Damon should win an Academy Award for this. I think his performance was absolutely outstanding, like really, really subtle, and also like to play an ancient Greek character as yourself, as an American man, and having everybody do flat American voices is probably the smart thing to do as well. Yes. I mean, in times past, probably everyone would come up and be British, but I just think they had to kind of pick who's the lead, and we should all match him, and that makes more sense. And I know that not everybody looks Greek, and, you know, Helena Troy wasn't black and all that stuff. But if you've got a problem with that, then you don't understand storytelling. Yep. It's not what it looks like on the outside. It's how people feel underneath, you know, like that's what's, just like they say in Batman, that's what's important. Matt Damon doesn't look like Odysseus would look at all, but he embodies that character with such a vulnerability and a truth and an honesty. Yeah, just amazing. When he is talking about the sacking of Troy, it is with such melancholy that he did it. He broke Zeus's law. He offered a gift, and they brought it in, and they used that gift against them. And there's no wonder that he's been cursed, because everything he believed in, he went against just so he could win this fucking war for Agamemnon, who didn't give a shit about him anyway, and ended up getting knifed by Troy's sister, Helen's sister, because he fucked around, you know, and pitched her daughter off a roof, cliff rather. But yeah, I just love that last little sequence where he's talking to her and explaining, you know, the entire meaning of his life has been this war, and how futile it ultimately was. Yeah, incredible performance. I really love Tom Holland in this film.
Yes,
I think he's great. There's a lot of complexity going on there too, and it's not as simple as the trailer will have you believe. He's the one, you know how Nolan makes films with people and then eventually they get their shot? Like what happened with
Matt Damon?
Cillian Murphy. Tom Holland's going to be in another 2 Christopher Nolan pictures, and then in the third one, he's going to be the lead. Whatever it is, I don't know. It'll probably be some sort of based on a real life thing. I know he's doing the Fred Astaire thing with someone else, but yeah, it's he really is fantastic in this film, because I know people give him a lot of shit because he's young and rich and in the public eye, and he's Spider-Man, and fuck that kid, and it's all jealousy. It's all like, if you don't like him because you think he's a bad actor, that's one thing, but people talk a lot of shit about that kid because he married his childhood sweetheart, who just happens to be Zendaya. You know, he's got the power to make the kind of choices he wants to make. And you know, he's honest as well. He's brutally honest about the environment that he's grown up in as a young man. And when you hear him talk, he's incredibly articulate. And I just don't understand why people have such a huge problem with him. And again, I can't think it would be anything other than jealousy of just like, fuck that good looking young kid who's married to a celebrity and, you know, has millions of dollars and is Spider-Man.
I do agree. I have a newfound appreciation for both Matt Damon and Tom Holland, because I feel like to date, this is Tom Holland's best work.
It absolutely is. It's either this or Devil All the Time.
I feel like here he's a much more seasoned actor than he was in Devil All the Time.
Of course.
Because Devil All the Time was also immediately after like all of his Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. He is once they inevitably hand over the reins of the Spider-Man franchise to a young black actor, a young mixed race actor to play Miles Morales. Yeah, I think that's Tom's going to go on to do some really interesting work.
I was not expecting to like Telemachus as much as I did, and that is 100% on Tom Holland and his performance. Like I understand that, like, because there's a lot of complexity to Odysseus, but the thing with Odysseus is that all of it is at the forefront. Like he is going through all of it, and so is the audience. Like it is very much understood, but it is so hard to play Telemachus because you're playing a character who's searching for his father he's never seen, and he goes to Menelaus, played incredibly by John Bernthal. And that scene where he's describing where he says, I bet you've heard the story of the war horse, but have you heard it from inside? And by the end of that narration, it's a cut back to Telemachus, and Tom Holland is just bawling because he just found out there's another side to his father that he never knew. And it's so hard to play a character who is, like, in the actual story, like this is like, that's not how it ends. Like he doesn't become king. He's searching for his father, and then he gets to meet his father, and that reunion is the moment where you feel like, oh, this kid finally like gets to meet his dad, But in this film, like it very much becomes about him by the end. Like it very much becomes about how he upholds Zeus's law, even though his father destroyed it for the rest of time, and how he is he will be what Odysseus wanted to be as a king. He will fulfill his father's. He will become the king that his father never was. It is like he becomes so important in that way where like the original story doesn't really give him that much agency, and that is 100% on Tom Holland's performance. Like if somebody else played this character, it would have been just one note, and I love that we get to see the complexity of not only Odysseus but also his son that he's never met. And can we talk about John Bernthal and Matt Damon sacking Troy and that scene?
They're fucking amazing. It's the cutting off of the head of the statue of Athena is it was used in the trailer and everything, but it just you don't understand the weight of that until my favorite moment in the whole film, which we'll talk about when we do like favorite moments in a minute. It's incredible. Just the visceral, without being bloody and gory, the visceral nature of that, the futile nature of war, and how like kingdoms fall and rise and get fought over when really we are just battling for a speck of dust in a cosmos that is ever expanding, and how just pointless that all actually is. What are you going to be rulers of? Nothing. In the end of it, it's all for nothing.
It shows when you see Menelaus talk to Telemachus about sacking of Troy, you see the absolute opposite experiences of that, with Menelaus describing it and how Odysseus remembers it. Because Odysseus has the advantage of never making it home and then realizing what he did. Whereas Menelaus is so stuck in his glory. Yeah, I don't know if you got this, but I think it's implied that the scars on Helen's face are by Menelaus after they got her back.
Of course.
Yeah, the dialogue of a face that launched 1,000 ships and now maybe just 500. It is haunting.
Yeah, when that's the male power is like, okay, I'm gonna scar this woman so that she is no longer a threat to me or anyone else. No one's gonna come for her, if she looks like that. And it's him protecting his masculinity in the most fucking toxic possible way.
And then the realization that it was never even about that. Like it was never even about Helen of Troy. It was about trade routes.
100%. Yeah, it's again, like I said, futile. It's all of these things dry up and they don't mean anything. Like the sacking of Troy doesn't mean anything, now or then. The futility of war. So was there anything else that you kind of wanted to preface before we sort of say a couple of favourite bits, I reckon, or a couple of Favorite moments?
Yeah, I couldn't want
You
to...
are the Odyssey.
Sorry?
You're the Odyssey.
No, I'm not. I'm the ocean that connects it all.
Exactly, that's right, yeah. And I'm the ship.
Yeah, just on top always.
Thank you very much. If we were to have a physical relationship, I would be a power bottom and you know it.
I'm sorry, we're talking about the Odyssey, man. Fuck.
Whatever. The people know the show. It's fine. You love it, don't you, everybody? It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk a bit about the score. Because the score is probably my 100% my favorite part about this film.
Yeah, wow, okay.
The visuals aside, I feel like fucking Ludwig Göransson is like... I saw somebody say, when is the right time to say that Ludwig Göransson might be the best to ever do it? And I commented, the time to have said that is when he did Black Panther. It is now, he is cemented in history as one of the best to ever do it, because he made the Odyssey sound like what it would have sounded like if there was a theater production in 3,000 years ago in Ithaca while they were listening to somebody narrate the Odyssey.
Yeah, great point. Yeah,
he resurrected instruments and musical techniques that were lost in history to make the score. My favorite piece of the score is the siren song, which is so weird to say because you never actually you're not supposed to hear the siren song. That's the point of the story.
No, great sequence though, where you just see Damon screaming and all the guys have got the stuff in their ears, you know.
And also the description of it being it was everything you wanted, and then it was everything you lost, and then it was everything you lost, knowing that what you wanted was something you lost. It's you miss something only because you had it before. And
the restraint to not show them. You see them smoke hidden or cloud hidden rather on rocks, and you see that they're mermaid-like, but you don't get the actual image of them because it could never live up to your ideas of what a siren should actually be. You know what I mean? Like if you go over there and they all look like, what's the ballerina lady name?
Sorry?
What's the ballerina lady?
What?
Who was in Ballerina, the John Wick picture?
Ana de Armas?
If they're all Ana de Armas, which is as close to perfection as you can possibly get, and they all look like that is something, you know, whereas if it isn't something, the building of that in your mind is much greater. The
notion of seeing a siren defeats the purpose of it.
Yes. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
The siren song and how it incorporates in the film where you see Eurylochus played incredibly by Hamish Peter. I did not know I would love him so much. But you see Eurylochus put in the beeswax in his ears, and then the audio is muffled until you hear Odysseus.
It changes as he does it. Yeah, so clever.
It was incredible. But I think my favorite part of this, the entire score from the entire film, are the three notes of the tu, and the third one being the pluck of the string bow, of the bow, and it's tied to Odysseus in a way that nothing else is in this film, and it makes so much sense that the only thing that is tied to him in this entire journey, in this entire film, is the memory of him doing that for Penelope.
Yes, yeah, you get that great sort of moment of it.
I absolutely loved how eerie the score got when we went to the underworld, and you have the scene with Elliot Page, incredibly cast, incredible performance, and
yeah, really, really great, especially in that particular sequence. Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah, and also, they buried actual actors in sand. Come on, man. You know?
Can't be fucked with, man.
Nobody on fucking planet Earth is doing that. Except for Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, he's like, do we have sand? Yes. Do we have people? Yes. Well, get a camera. We'll be good. It was like Damon was talking about. He was being interviewed about the show and about the movie, rather. And he's like, there's no CG. If you see 1,000 people on a beach, that's 1,000 people on a beach. You can trust it. You can trust it. You know that people, human hands made this, because that's where art comes from. Like, think about it. The story of the Odyssey and, or the Iliad, both Homer's texts, 3,000 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Art, storytelling, craft, someone sitting down, putting back in those days ink on parchment. The same standard should hold true now. Like, why are we giving up that process to automation? It makes absolutely no fucking sense. As soon as you take human hands off of craft, I'm not saying that there is no place for computer-generated technology, especially when you can't make films at Nolan's level either. Like, yeah, I get that. But you still need human hands to work those levers and to work those nodes and those coding and all that kind of stuff. As soon as you give that up to automation for ease or speed, you're bankrupt. You're morally bankrupt. And that's the one thing that you get from Nolan. He is he is the most forthright filmmaker working today. He is about his shit. I shoot on film. I shoot on the biggest format possibly. I do everything in camera that is physically possible, and I get real people to do it. Huge amount of respect for the man. Huge amount of respect. I would love to have a conversation with him. We'll see if we can get him on the show.
Yeah, at some point.
Can you imagine? It'd be me and you just like dumbstruck for like 45 minutes while he sort of sits there and just...
Yeah.
Oh, yes, when I made the Odyssey...
That was pretty good until it got to the humming.
Until I got to the humming, yeah.
Yeah, I also feel like the way that Nolan makes movies is like the most simplest way to describe them, but the simplest way to make a movie is the most craziest way. His answer to the Odyssey is, well, I'll just shoot it. But you can't, because Cyclops don't exist. But he made a Cyclops animatronic. That
is, and it's not always an animatronic, it's a person a lot of the time.
I apologize. Like that wasn't an animatronic, but yes, there was an actual Cyclops on set, and then there's an actual Cyclops performance done by the same person who did the robot in Interstellar.
Oh right, okay, yeah, great.
Yeah, like you can't just shoot fucking Scylla. Because it's like you just can't, because they're tentacles that take people, but they were tentacles that took people in the film, and they were real, because you could see like the wrinkles on the skin, and like when they bit them you could see teeth, and it was real. That's
blurring the lines, like that's the interesting thing, and it's just funny that Comic-Con's going on. It was going on, or it still is going on, and they're releasing all of this stuff, all of this new footage and these new ideas and all that kind of shit. And it's just like, unless you show me something real, I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. Like I'll go and see your fun pictures, absolutely. But in terms of things that move me, what is your favorite? By the way, Ludwig, fucking forget about it. Like the Oppenheimer score, I still listen to now. It's one of the greatest scores ever written. So I concur with that. Favorite moment in the film, the bit that just made you go, oh fuck, and you came all over your claws.
Do you have one?
Yes.
Okay, then you go ahead first.
It's when Odysseus is retelling the story of the sacking of Troy to Penelope. Is his wife?
Yeah, Penelope.
The Anne Hathaway's character, who's great in what could be a thankless role. She's really incredible, and the nuance that's going on is, anyway, remarkable actress. When he's retelling that story, and you realize that the Zendaya's character, Athena, who has haunted Odysseus the entire film, was a citizen of Troy who was executed in front of him and beheaded, and yet she looks dead into the camera. And I felt my fucking soul collapse, man. Like she's an incredible young actress too. Like just one of the best to ever do it. I was shook. And it was part of the reason why I had to sit and wait until all those credits were over and the lights came up and the curtains closed at the Astor, and I was the only one left in the room, because it was just so affecting. Imagine being so haunted by your own hubris that you proxy a young woman who died in front of you, like beheaded violently, killed in front of you, you use her as a proxy for one of your gods. Like that is fucked up on so many psychological levels I can't even begin, Yeah, I loved it.
It's also, Odysseus is not doing that. Athena takes that form when she sees him.
Yeah, okay, that's cool too. But like in my head, it was that Matt Damon, who's in this movie, Odysseus did that himself. Yep. He was seeing her, and in that form, or maybe that's the form that she embodies because he sees that. Like the god is the way that you see them, and yeah, 100%. What about you?
Man, this is hard. This is very hard. Because I have about 3.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just really excited.
But,
penis jokes in an Odyssey episode.
God damn. It took me fucking forever to get it, too.
I know you got the joke, man. Here it is. Everyone else will get it. It's fine.
God damn it.
They're laughing in their cars.
I have about 3. But I will take the one. The one that is most important to me. It is the line that the film ends on, which is, and I remembered it. This is very rare that I remember something very vividly, and I wrote it in my fucking notes. It is when Odysseus goes back and says about the song of the Trojan War, and when they're on the ship, she says, "Why the song? Like, why would you say it as a song?" Or like Penelope asks Odysseus, why the song? And Odysseus says, songs will be all they have to remember those of us who could write. This is what I was referring to when I said that at the end, this film becomes a conversation between the film and the audience about art. Because in that sentence, you take the legacy of the actual Odyssey, which is debated, because it was truly never written, and the written version of it was never truly said to be of Homer's, because it was spoken poetry, and it shows us that books can be destroyed and words on pages can be destroyed, celluloid film can be destroyed, but the art of that story that was spoken 3,000 years ago was in this film. And then when we watched this film, we became part of it. It became a part of us. And so through 3,000 years of retellings and rewritings and translations, that story lived. And then when it jumped art forms, it lived once again, and now it lives in us. And when you start the film with Travis Scott, an actual poet, because he's a rapper, saying a ship, a song, a man, it is in conversation with Homer, because you start your film as a poem and you end your film as the conversation of what that poem is meant to be. That's my favorite part.
It's not going to get any better than that, everybody. Wow, you've been here many, many times, my friend. That was beautiful. Yeah, I got nothing else. That's it, everybody. It's the Odyssey. Thanks so much for joining us on our little bonus episode here. We'll see you next week for episode 100. It's going to be a blast. But until then, remember, give up the fight, give up control, and live.